Elon Musk is finally calling out Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for his administration's endemic corruption. What has the Prime Minister done this time, and how does this affect Musk's relationship with Justin Trudeau? This is not surprising given that Musk has Canadian origins and will call out his own if necessary, even if it is the government. Today's video is about just happened. Elon Musk exposed Justin Trudeau's corruption. Before starting the video, please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. They are here, issues of contention. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Trudeau administration enacted stringent vaccination regulations. Still, the Canadian public had had enough and demanded a new regulation requiring COVID-19 immunization to cross the US-Canada border. Within days, truckers flocked to Ottawa's capital to demonstrate against the tiny COVID-19 limits and some of the Trudeau administration's policies. Despite organizing one of the largest law enforcement operations in Canada, Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act to freeze the personal accounts of anyone connected to the protest, drawing criticism from many. Elon Musk, who had earlier expressed his support and admiration for the Canadian truckers. Over 18 police officers were dispatched from across Canada to the Canadian Parliament in Ottawa, arresting hundreds of protesters while dispersing the crowd. I posted a satirical Adolf Hitler meme with the message "Stop comparing me to Justin Trudeau, my budget was less than his." The billionaire was unmistakably hinting at the Prime Minister of Canada's bad behavior and flaws. But Elon Musk suddenly found himself at the center of a dispute. The software magnate thinks people should be free to decide whether they want to get immunized. He had fought with government representatives to keep his plans in motion throughout the epidemic, even though the vaccine effectively stopped the spread of COVID-19 in the United States. This was because he believed that what goes into a person's body is personal. Businesses shouldn't be forced to suffer as a result. Of course, his meme received millions of responses on social media, with some people finding the joke amusing and others finding it offensive. The CEO was summoned by the Auschwitz Museum, claiming that his usage of Hitler's likeness was disrespectful to victims' memories. The billionaire's remark was deemed unacceptable by the American Jewish Committee, which demanded an apology. As per his typical practice, Musk disregarded the complaints and, before deleting his tweet, wrote another one advising them to read a book about the history of Nazi Germany for a more thorough understanding. Later, he wrote another, claiming that fascism is present in Canada if the country suppresses lawful demonstrations. However, the damage had already been done, and Musk's response to the situation increased awareness of Trudeau's misconduct in Canada. Many individuals, both domestically and internationally, wanted to be more pleased with Trudeau's conduct, which reduced their trust in his ability to manage the country. The Canadian Civil Liberties Association opposed the choice and referred to it as a move. Trudeau decided to draft legislation that might limit Canadians' online activity. Do you know what Bill C-11 is? It is the government's response to BC-10, which regulated how information is presented to Canadians, is now in effect. It will control nearly all audio and video content available online in Canada, including Netflix, Disney, Spotify, and YouTube. It will hinder rather than encourage Canadian content, preventing Canadian digital creators from reaching wider audiences or addressing delicate political issues. What, though, is Trudeau saying in response? He is making a concerted effort to get the law passed, arguing that it is essential for the growth of Canada's cultural industry. He said it would help the country's upcoming generation of artists and creators. Several Canadian government platforms, such as Canadian Heritage on Twitter, attempt to defend the law's repeal. But once more, every attempt to justify the measure has been, at best, deceptive and ludicrous. They hoped the measure would pass without anyone reading it carefully and pointing out how it would affect digital-first creators, podcast artists, and other streamers who primarily monetize their content online. The number of Canadian innovators opposing the law has surpassed 40,000, increasing daily. Messages pleading with senators to oppose the bill because it jeopardizes their employment are pouring in. The government rushed through the legislation without allowing anyone to object, and it continues ignoring Canadian artists. Not just Canadian artists are vehemently opposed. Large corporations like Google and YouTube are impacted by Bill C-11. The two have lent their voices to the cause, warning that it will force Canadians to watch only government-approved content, compromising press freedom. Neil Mahan, the chief product officer of YouTube, took some time to discuss the effects of the bill when it was put into practice. Accordingly, viewers who visit the YouTube homepage are presented with content that the Canadian government regulator has deemed more important than the stuff they are interested in. Many individuals are also worried about how accepting it now would affect the Canadian government's openness and accountability because it may be used to influence governance. The government can suppress opponents or disinter them with little effort. The measure will give Trudeau the authority to ban contentious viewpoints that he disagrees with and deprive the public of the knowledge necessary to make informed political decisions. Outside forces like Klaus Schwab and the WEF may have impacted the measure. An Ontario MP criticized Trudeau's attendance at the DEO's conference during a campaign in May, stating, "Work for Canada." You can't be a member of our government and fight for a policy objective that goes against the interests of our citizens. Therefore, if you want to visit DEOs, buy a one-way ticket. Trudeau has made numerous acts in the past that were consistent with the WEF's program, and Claus acknowledged the Canadians' influence. Bill Moore, a former Canadian finance minister, previously expressed alarm about the path the Trudeau administration was taking, saying it seemed more focused on spreading wealth. A different WEF agenda is preferred over societal progress. Elon's response. But what is Elon Musk's opinion on the matter? Musk responded quickly to a tweet from the conservative organization Canada Proud asking him to oppose Trudeau's online streaming laws. What it is that the billionaire is an advocate for free speech, and one of the reasons he gave Twitter $44 billion was because he worried about the needless suppression of free expression on the platform. Despite public protest and opposition, Trudeau's government appears to be moving forward. Given that their economy is worse than it was 7 years ago, many Canadians are concerned about his corruption and leadership. Trudeau hasn't commented on Elon's statement. The government is disregarding the principles of sustainable development and leaving a cost that will be carried by larger governments and future generations of Canadians due to the mismanagement of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still having an adverse economic impact. The agricultural industry is also experiencing heat. It will be up to Canadians to continue fighting against the government's corruption, as the government is hellbent on enacting policies that harm farmers, will harm local food production, and will exacerbate the present food crisis in Canada. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content.